Alright guys, so today I'm going to be talking about the claim of fact speech made by Carissa Young. Carissa Young's main press position was responding to the American healthcare system, with her proposition being American healthcare falls behind other countries in terms of quality, while it races far ahead in cost of care, delaying U.S. citizens from getting suitable care. She followed this proposition by three secondary claims. The first claim being healthcare in America is viewed from a point of profit, a way for companies to get rich from, and it is unfair to citizens. Her second claim being America's high spending has failed to produce greater health benefits. And lastly, America's free market for drug pricing is going out of control, and there's price gouging and extreme profiteering by pharmaceutical companies. My response to claim was, a problem with the evidence she used for her first secondary claim is that the salary she used for CEOs of insurance companies and surgeons. A specific fact she used that the average salary for a CEO of an insurance company is $584,000, while doctors and surgeons only made about $305,000. The problem with this is that that CEOs of insurance companies tend to also make less than of doctors. When you look at CEOs making $500,000 a year or more, you also have to think of the Fortune 500 companies they work for. Mark J. Perry of AEI.org states that there are about only 200 Fortune 500 companies in the U.S., while there are about 1,243 private insurance company firms. While the 200 CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies make $500,000 a year or more, the salary for a CEO of a private insurance company was $174,080 in 2013, compared to the salary of a surgeon whose salary was about $235,000. So in essence, a surgeon for a private firm tends to make more than of a CEO. Now the reasoning behind this is that why CEOs make as much money as they do is that jobs as CEO comes with a slower increase to other jobs. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics say that CEO positions will increase pay by only 5% by the year 2020. For her second claim, the problem that I have with the evidence that Carissa states that the U.S. has the highest mortality rates due to heart diseases and amputees due to diabetes. My problem with the claim is that there appears to be no evidence to why the healthcare industry is behind these unfortunate fatalities. Rachel Mayer of the author of the Heart Disease Statistics Fact says that the major facts of heart disease include smoking, obesity, and excessive alcohol consumption. These facts in no way can be fixed by the healthcare system, as these can only be fixed by an individual themselves. Which actually, with the same article, states that the U.S. actually has lesser risks of major illnesses compared to other countries. Rachel Mayer also states that 80% of heart illness-related deaths occur in low-income countries, with the top 5 countries that have the most heart disease-related deaths are Russia, Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary, and Argentina. Now for her third claim, she states that the U.S. sets their own prices and other countries have government entities that sets the maximum prices for themselves. The evidence is that there's no explanation of how drug manufacturing in other countries occur and how they are brought to market. Now Dave Kuhn of article of CNN states, it takes more than 10 years and $26 billion to bring a drug to market. So in essence, our drugs are so expensive because it takes so long and costs so much in order to bring them up to market. The reason Carissa never brings up why prescription drugs are so much cheaper in other countries. Dave Kuhn also takes a quote from Aaron Castilum, an associate professor for Harvard Medical School, states that drugs are cheaper of other countries because they also have limited buyers. They have to charge the money. They have to charge with how much a person is willing to buy. My counterclaim is that drug prices are actually so high due to America by law not being able to negotiate with pharmaceutical companies, while other countries are actually able to negotiate with the pharmaceutical companies. In conclusion, Carissa chose a difficult topic to speak upon, as most people, including myself, would find it difficult to rebuttal had she provided stronger factual data. Carissa also chose a topic that most of us would agree with her stance on the subject. There are many holes within the healthcare system, and one day those holes are going to need to be filled. Thank you.
Right, structurally everything is good. You signpost the main and secondary claims pretty clearly. On the first point, you have kind of this counterclaim that justifies the wages of CEOs or makes a different comparison than the advocate made. I think the argument that you're making is that she's making an unfair comparison, talking about the Fortune 500 CEOs versus the CEOs that are chairmen of the insurance companies, and the insurance companies that ought to be compared to the surgeons that are going on there. I think that is the point that you're trying to make there. And I do think there's another argument for suggesting or asking the question, why is this relevant to the question of whether or not the main proposition is true? It might be something that you see as being unjustified or unfair, but how does it demonstrate that the healthcare system is too expensive or that it's got its priorities wrong? That's not clearly explained. The argument that CEOs' wages go up less quickly than other wages, I'm not exactly sure that that's particularly convincing. On your second point, I did think that you had a reasonable press on the argument about it being related to healthcare, the mortality rates that you're talking about, and then you had a nice counterclaim suggesting that the real cause of all the heart disease in particular are obesity, smoking, and alcoholism, which you say is not addressed by the issue of healthcare. That one I'm a little less certain of, but I do think that you've got the right point that there are a variety of factors that contribute to this, and the idea of isolating it to healthcare is a little bit problematic. And then you mentioned that it's often related to income disparities, that people with less money are more likely to suffer those kinds of problems. And so, it wasn't clear to me if that was an argument that explains why the U.S. has this problem because we've got a lot of poor people, or why we should just feel better because at least we're not Russia and Bulgaria and those other countries that you mentioned. So I thought that was a little unclear. And then the argument about pricing on pharmaceuticals, I thought that you gave a nice explanation about why pharmaceuticals are expensive, and distinguishing the pricing in different countries versus the United States. There's a little bit of an explanation on that. I think that needs to be more complete. You assert the idea that there is a legal barrier to being able to negotiate for the price, and that's part of the thing that contributes to this. That argument needs to be developed more. I didn't hear a source citation on that. I don't doubt that there's something there, but I don't think you've explained it very clearly. The last part of your argument, though, sounds more like a critique than it does a refutation. It sounds like you're kind of saying, well, there are holes in the healthcare system, but had she done a better job, maybe this would be a different argument. That's not the position that you want to be taking. It's not really an evaluation of the speech, it's a refutation of the speech. Okay, thank you.